Hello, friends. I wish I could be with you today, and yet I think we are in the right place being online. Tillamook Adventist Hospital, the president announced today that their hospital is at capacity. County commissioners in Tillamook sent another letter saying, if you can put it on pause and not gather, please do so still. So keep praying. I know you are, and praying for our teachers and our students as well, as today's their first day back to school. So keep praying for them as well. Our parable for today. Something has to be done. Something has to be done. Life comes at us in a million different ways before we're ready, before we have our feet set. And something has to be done. But far too often, we don't know what to do. And so every day, we live with a foot in two different worlds. On the one hand, it's, I don't know what to do. But we're trying to bridge the gap to something has to be done. And so every day we're trying to stretch that distance, that gap, that abyss. Something has to be done, but I don't know what to do. People are looking to us. They're counting on us. They're waiting on us. There are decisions to be made and people to respond to and situations to address and problems to be solved and needs to be met. And we don't feel ready. We don't feel equipped. We're not sure we have all of the information yet, but life is coming at us and something has to be done. Now, I remember when I was a kid, I don't know where I got this idea, but I thought that part of being an adult was, well, when you're an adult, you'll always know what to do. And then I grew up and I kept waiting for that feeling. And I found out that nope, I'm getting close to 40 and life still feels like there are a million scenarios where on the one hand, I don't know what to do, but on the other hand, something has to be done. What do we do? What do you do? Some people freeze like a rabbit. Uh, some people are just they're paralyzed by that pressure, and so maybe they try to run away from even being forced into a decision. Don't ask me to make a decision. Some people try to hand off the decisions to other people. They'll put off the decision. Some people live their entire life by not making decisions, which is a decision, by the way, but they don't want to be in that place, so they can't do it. And their indecision still has all kinds of consequences for their life and for others' lives. Now, other folks, they take a different tack. They say, I know I don't have all the information. I know that I don't know what to do. So they seek advice. They seek mentors. They seek data. They Google it. They read the experts. They ask the experts. They try to bridge that gap by finding people who might know what to do. And there are a lot of good experts out there these days. There are people who have weathered all kinds of storms. They have experienced all kinds of things. There are people who have done deep dives into certain niche areas. They have this narrow field of expertise. And so even if they don't know what to do, they might be able to tell you what not to do, which helps a whole lot. Now, others, they take another tack. They say, well, if I don't know what to do, just fake it till you make it. That's what they say. So they act confident and they just plunge ahead and they assume, you know what? No one else knows what they're doing either. So if I act confident, then I'll probably fool everyone and this whole thing will be over before anyone realizes, hey, they didn't know what they were doing. Now, somewhere in the midst of all of this, the freezing like a rabbit and the advice seeking and the fake it till you make it, somewhere in the midst of all of that, there's something else that goes on, and that is prayer. That's another thing that goes on when we don't know what to do, but something has to be done. And so these millions of questions, what should I do? They get put to God. God, help! I don't know what to do, but something has to be done. And so a million Hail Marys, uh, a million whispered requests, and not just in buildings where churches gather, but from a million places. Long hours in office chairs, from the privacy of showers, behind the steering wheel, noisy arguments in kitchens, parents responding, trying to respond to what their kid just said, bustling workplaces with high demands, people sitting alone in quiet apartments. What should I do, God? I don't know what to do, but I gotta do something. Now, not everyone who prays would say, they wouldn't name themselves a follower of Jesus. In fact, there are people who pray who might say, I'm not even sure I believe in God. But when they experience this situation where they say, I don't know what to do, and something has to be done, somewhere in the mix of all of that, they pray. Because we want a word from above. We do. We want a word from outside. We want transcendence. We want a map to navigate this world that we're facing. We want answers. And so, why not look anywhere you can? Who knows? God just might answer. So, can you feel this space? Can you feel what it feels like to live this? Do you say, man, I've lived this 100 times over, like with a foot on both sides of the canyon? On the one hand, I don't know what to do, but something has to be done. And part of me wants to run away, and I'm Googling my head off, and I'm asking people who might know, and I'm acting like I know what to do, and I'm praying, God, oh God, please show me what to do. Can you feel that? Have you lived this? For every person who prays, uh, you'll you'll probably find someone else who gave up on prayer a long time ago. And sure, they prayed, but they say nothing happened. Uh, I didn't get any answers to the questions I was asking. God didn't give me a map so I could find my way out of the maze that I felt stuck in. And so they look at that whole prayer thing and they say, it's kind of a joke. Uh, some of them say, I don't think there even really is a God. So when you pray, you're just talking to a dark room. You're throwing requests out into the sky. Other people say, yeah, I don't know, uh, but if God's going to be cryptic, and if God just enjoys watching people's lives like fall apart at the seams because He's not going to be clear, I'm not really interested in following a God like that. And either way, folks like that, they don't pray anymore. They don't listen in silence. Uh, and so when they don't know what to do, they're not praying. They're finding people who do know what to do. They're faking it till they make it. And where's God in the middle of all of this? does God just like playing hard to get? Does God just like being sneaky, keeping secrets, leaving us floundering? Is God cryptic because God likes to watch us blunder and not get it? Does God enjoy watching our lives just kind of come apart at the seams? Or maybe there is no God. Maybe our prayers are just requests that we throw out into the dark. Well, this brings us to our parable today. It can be found in two different Gospels, the Gospel of Mark, chapter 4, verse 21, or in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8, verse 16. So here it is. Jesus said, "No one lights a lamp and then hides it under a jar. They don't do it. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a bed. No. Instead, they light a lamp and they put it on its stand so that everyone who comes in can see the light." Now, oil lamps in ancient Palestine, they were an important part of everyday life. You see, most homes were just one room, a single large room, and those homes tended to be quite dark. And so the carpenters would build a little nook into the wall, like with a little shelf. And you sit your little oil lamp right there. It's a lampstand. And so you take that lamp, you fill it with olive oil, it has a little floating wick, you light the wick, and then the walls reflect with all of that flickering light around the room, and the lamp gives light to everyone in the house. So taking a lamp like that, the only light source in the house, and putting it under a jar, well, that's going to extinguish the lamp. The room will be completely dark. Or taking that lamp and putting it under the bed, that's not going to be much better. The only thing you're going to be able to see is whatever's under the bed, and no one would do that. So is Jesus, is God like someone who takes a lamp, the only light in the house, and hides it under the bed? Like, thanks God. Now I can see that sock I lost. Is that what God is like? Or is maybe there's no light? Maybe asking God for light is like people who expect a lamp to burn under a jar. Like, you're just throwing your questions into the darkness there. Well, that's the way a lot of people feel when they don't know what to do. Something's got to be done. They're saying, God, show me what to do. And then they look and they feel like the room's still dark. Have you ever experienced that? Is this what God's like? Well, Jesus continues his parable. He says, "Whatever is hidden, it is meant to be disclosed. And whatever is concealed is meant to be brought out into the open. If anyone has ears to hear, let them hear. Therefore, consider carefully how you listen, and consider carefully what you hear. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. And even more, whoever takes ownership, they will be given more. But whoever doesn't take ownership, even what they have will be taken from them. They will be released from it." So Jesus doesn't deny the way people feel. They don't know what to do. They pray, and there's absolutely no light or a lamp under a jar. They pray, and it feels like, God hid the lamp. Like, God, what'd you do with the light? What good is light if we can't see it? What good is light if it's in the wrong places? And so we all have lived or seen or felt this conundrum. Like, what is going on here? Well, Jesus agrees. The purpose of light is so that all who come into the house can see. God is not like someone who puts that lamp under the jar or who puts that lamp under the bed. God means for the light to be brought out into the open for all to see, not hidden, not concealed. You, you have all of the light that you need to live well today. I have all of the light that I need to live well today. And God intends to reveal even more to us than what we can currently see. Now, you might look at that and you say, well, then why the struggle? Like, why the struggle to get God to tell us what to do when we don't know what to do? It doesn't seem as easy as what you just said. You have all the light that you need today. Well, we want maps to our entire situation. We don't like one step at a time. We want to see the beginning and we want to see the end and all the stages in between. We want to know, where are we going? Where is this taking us? Will this work? And we think that the questions that we ask are the most important questions. So often, the thing that God shows us, it doesn't even seem related to the questions that we're asking. You know, it's like if you ask your friend how to fix a flat tire and they start talking about how long a turtle can hold its breath, you're probably going to call someone else because you're saying, of course, turtles don't have anything to do with fixing flat tires. It just doesn't relate. And a lot of people do the same thing with God. God shows them something very important. God doesn't show them the entire map. God shows them the next stepping stone because God is in the process of bringing everything out into the open. God doesn't just, whew, God is in the process of bringing everything out into the open. But they look at that thing that God showed them and they can't imagine that that thing could somehow answer their question. What God said does not seem to relate to the question they were asking. They have no idea the cumulative difference that it would make if they would just take that thing into their heart and digest it and meditate on it, integrate it, make it a part of who they are, their life, their habits, their rhythms. Take complete ownership of that word. They can't imagine what it would do. Instead, they say, that's not relevant. They ignore it. They set aside what God is showing them. They may not even realize that it's God who is showing it to them. Instead, they go looking elsewhere for, what am I going to do? I still don't know what to do. And so they conclude that asking God to show you what to do, that's bunk. That's like looking for invisible light. Why would you do that? Well, Jesus says, with the measure that you use, it will be measured to you and even more. Whoever takes ownership will be given more. Whoever does not take ownership, even what they have, will be taken from them. It will be released from them. So, what God does next when people are like, I'm not interested in that, well, it has to do with the way that God loves people because God is polite. God does not force himself on anyone. And so taking that word from someone or releasing them from it, it's not about God being mean. It's about God respecting the choices that they are making. God doesn't keep pestering people who really aren't interested in what God is saying, because God is looking for the circle of God's love to be complete. God is looking for it's answering love. So the attention that God is giving to us, God is looking for us to give that attention back to God, to complete this love. Uh, Here's a contrast it with this. So, what do you call a boyfriend or a girlfriend who just won't take no for an answer? So you say, I'm really not interested. They keep pestering. They keep coming around. So I guess it'd be an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend. They won't stop calling. They just keep coming. Now, what they are doing is not viewed as love. The further they go, the creepier it gets. The more you say, like, you're stalking, this is inappropriate, this has to stop. Well, God wants that circle of love to be complete. And so God doesn't love like that creepy ex-girlfriend or boyfriend. God is polite. God respects our choices. God says, very well, have it your way. And this is why when we meet people all around the world who really aren't interested in what God is saying, they don't also tell you, man, I'm really bothered though by God because God won't leave me alone. God keeps pestering me. No, it's just like out of sight, out of mind. God still longs to have a relationship with them. And so God's waiting. God's watching for any openness, any opportunity for a connection. But if they don't want God, then God respects that. God longs to reveal more to us than we can currently see, but we have to want it. And so Jesus says, consider carefully how you listen. Consider carefully what you hear. Now, we live in a Google it world. Like, hey Alexa, hey Siri, and we have thousands of experts at our fingertips. And this means that we have been trained for most of our lives to treat every expert as a consultant. So I don't know what to do. I Google it. I make a phone call. I find an expert who can tell me what to do. If I like their advice, I run with it. But if I don't like what they're saying, no biggie, because I can just scroll to the next page. I just go back and I say, I'm not going to read that article. I'm going to read this article. I can go to the next thing. I go get a second opinion from the doctor, a new doctor, a third opinion. Uh, Anywhere you look, any expert you look at, well, I can find someone else. Simple as that. And eventually, we'll find someone with the answers that we like. Now, if this is the world we live in, if this is the air we breathe, if this is the water we swim in, uh, like, how can this not bleed into the way that we listen to God? It's God, unless we're really guarding against this and being intentional, we easily treat God as another expert, which sounds good until we realize, oh yeah, but I treat most experts as consultants. Like, God, what should I do? And if God comes back talking about how long turtles can hold their breath, then we're just going to keep Googling. We're going to scroll to a new page. We're going to keep seeking advice from other experts. And God gets the hint. Because God's not interested in being a consultant. God's not interested especially in being a pestering, annoying consultant. Consider carefully how you listen. Consider carefully what you hear. Now, let me say, is Aaron like anti-Google? Don't get me wrong. I'm a lifelong learner, and so I'm all for learning and using the internet and books and experts. I love learning. I love asking. I love hearing from a choir of people who have done deep dives and are experts in their various fields. But if in the middle of all of that, if the thing that God said to me, the thing that God said to you, if that thing gets pushed to the back burner, just kind of it's like it's not here anymore. And I'm excited about what some other expert is saying. And that's the thing that really has my attention and really has my energy and my excitement and my focus. Well, I think God gets the hint. Consider carefully what you hear, how you are listening. When you give God your attention, who knows what God will say? And perhaps it will feel just completely unrelated to the questions that you think are the most important. Does that mean you'll brush it aside? Whatever God says, how much weight will you give that word in your life? Will you accept that you have been given all of the light that you need to live today? Will you take that word into your heart and digest it and meditate on it and integrate it? Make it a part of who you are and your life and your habits and your rhythms. I don't know what to do, but I got to do something. God, what am I going to do? Jesus says, whatever is hidden is meant to be disclosed. Whatever is concealed, it's meant to be brought out into the open. Whoever takes ownership, more will be given. Will you accept the light that you've been given for today? Love you, friends.